Hi, everybody, and welcome to Ivy English. I'm Karen.
And I'm Wesley.
Today is November 5th, and we're on page 16 in your magazines. And if you really like to watch TV, you may find this interesting. Our topic today and our title is Don't Turn Off the TV.
我们中文标题是追剧背后的心理学。
Now, something different has happened to TV from the past. In the past, we just had to watch things when they were broadcast. We didn't have much choice. Later on, we could record them with a DVR machine, like we could record them or make a tape of it. But now something else has happened with a new innovation. We're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, 好，所以这个电视呢，跟以前已经不一样了哈。像以前我们看电视的时候，我小时候看电视的时候呢，你只能看电视播的东西，
现播的，
它现播的，你没有办法选择，你顶多选择换台啊，但是没有办法跟他讲说，我要看什么，要看什么，不行。
And there were only 3.
而且当时只有3个哈，最早还只有1个。
Oh, really? I don't know that time.
最早只有1个。那后来呢，当然有了录影机，所以有的时候呢，你可以说我先把这个我要看的节目录起来，这样我就可以只看我要看的东西啊。但现在的电视又不一样。那今天这篇文章谈的就是现在这看电视跟以前这个因为科技的发达等等有一些不一样的地方。
And the first word of our article today is a key word, and it's something which you really should not do. And we're going to find out what that word is very soon. Again, our title is Don't Turn Off the TV. Binging used to mean eating or drinking too much. Nowadays, when people talk of binging, they are referring to watching too much TV. With the emergence of online streaming sites, people are now free to watch TV shows and movies for hours on end. As thrilling as it may seem at first, binge watching can leave you feeling less than great afterwards. Watching a couple of hours of your favorite TV show isn't necessarily bad. It can be a great way to unwind after a stressful day. Some people think that people are drawn to binge watching because it allows them to escape into another world more than if they just watched a single episode. Unfortunately, it can be hard to keep this from becoming a bad habit. Binge watching releases dopamine into our brains, which gives us a sense of pleasure. Addictive drugs work the same way. Once we get that rush of dopamine, we naturally want to keep doing whatever activates that part of our brain. Suddenly, it's the middle of the night, and you've watched an entire season of a show over the past 8 hours. You might not be feeling weary yet, but you certainly will be the next day. If you keep doing this day after day, it will start negatively affecting your mood and health. So, how do you avoid this bad habit? On many streaming sites, you can adjust the settings so that episodes don't automatically play one after another. Or if you find that you have trouble turning off the TV at night, a bedtime alarm may help. If you find you really struggle, try taking a break from TV to do something that keeps you active instead. Wow, this is really important advice if you have subscribe to Netflix or any of the other streaming sites available now.
好，所以这篇文章最后这个是非常好的建议。Yeah.
Right. Let's go back to the beginning. Don't turn off the TV.
那字面上就是不要把电视关掉啊。我们的中文标题呢是追剧背后的心理学。
But the actual advice is turn off that TV right now.
Yeah, 但我们真正的给各位的建议就是现在就把电视关掉吧。Yeah.And
we just mentioned that our keyword today, the really important word, the thing that we're talking about today, is the first word of the body of our article, and that is binging. The 原型 is binge, to binge, B-I-N-G-E, and here is the ing form binging, and you'll notice that they keep the E in it. Why do we keep the E? Because we usually drop it. If there's an E at the end of a verb, we usually drop it when we add ing.But in this case, we have to keep it in, because if we don't, it becomes binging, which means bing, bing, bing.
好，所以呢，我们先看 binging 这个字哈，这个是我们这整篇文章的 keyword。好，那这个字呢，本来是指这个过度或者是没有节制的沉溺于某件事情，
暴食暴饮，
大吃大喝啊。那这个字我们看到它加 ing 的时候 e 没有去掉啊。通常我们不发音的字尾 e 加 ing 会去掉，那这里之所以会把 e 保留呢，是因为如果你把这个 e 拿掉的话，它会变成 bing 啊，那 binging 啊，感觉起来好像是一个拟声字那种感觉。
It's not a real word. I just checked the dictionary. It's not in Merriam-Webster. But just looking at it, I would say binging. I would not say binging. So that E is pretty necessary for me to read it as binging instead of binging. And this can happen with other words. The word age, for example, is a verb. Age, aging. You can write A-G-I-N-G, but it sort of looks like agging. So we often write it as A-G-E-I-N-G. And in that way, we will say aging. We won't mix it up with agging, even though agging isn't a word. Now, this happens with some other words where you have to be careful with the ing form. You may have to make some changes. For example, picnic is P-I-C-N-I-C. But if you want to say we're going picnicking, you have to add a K after the C. Otherwise, it looks like picnicing or picnicing or something. So it's P-I-C-N-I-C-K-I-N-G. Same with panic. P-A-N-I-C. If you want to say he's panicking, you have to put a K in there. P-A-N-I-C-K-I-N-G. So in this case, we want that E in there to make sure that we say binging.
好，所以呢，这个 E 为什么没有拿掉？主要其实还是因为发音的问题。好，你把这个 E 拿掉的话，人家看到 B-I-N-G-I-N-G， 他大概就把它念成 binging 那种声音了。哈，那类似的情况像 aging 哈 ，age 这个是当动词 ，A-G-E 哈的变老这个是当动词，它加 I-N-G 的时候呢，那个 E 也会留着，因为如果你把那个 E 拿掉变成 A-G-I-N-G 的话，那一般母语人是看到这样的一个拼法，他直觉会把它念成 agging。那就跟原来字不一样了。
In fact, we can spell it that way. 还没有固定下来，两种拼法都看得到。But if you put the E in there, it's a little safer because when we look at it, we think of age, the noun, and then we make it into a verb. Aging, we won't say agging.
Yeah, 那事实上你还是看得到，你就是把 E 拿掉的那种拼法哈 ，A-G-I-N-G 还是有这种拼法，那是因为这个字还没有固定下来。但是比较安全的方法，或者是在我经验里面我看到都是有 E 哈 ，A-G-E-I-N-G 哈。那类似的情况呢 ，picnic 这个字哈 ，P-I-C-N-I-C， 你如果加 I-N-G 直接加在后面的话，大概会读成 picnicing 那种感觉哈。所以呢。picnic 这个字加 ing 的时候，字尾会再加上一个 k 啊，变成 p-i-n-i-c-k-i-n-g， 那这样一读就知道 picnicking 啊，那这样发音就不会搞错了。
And the same is true of panic.
另外一个 panic 一样的情况，它要加 ing 的话，后面会加一个 k 啊。那binge 这个字其实蛮新的一个字哈，大概是19世纪中期才出现的一个字，它原来是英文的方言里面的一个字，它原来的意思是 soak 啊 ，S-O-A-K 就浸泡的意思，所以你就知道什么叫大吃大喝，你就等于浸在食物或者那个饮酒里面，或者那个酒里面，所以这样子可以帮助你记这个字啊。所以它 binge 这个字呢 ，used to 以前它的意思是吃太多或者喝太多 ，eating or drinking too much。Nowadays,
when people talk of binging, they are referring to watching too much TV.
好，那 nowadays 现在当人们 talk of 说到binging 这个字的时候呢 ，they are referring to 他们指的是are referring to 就是指的是他们说到这个字，他们指的是 watching too much TV 就是电视看太多了。
Make sure that when you look at that ng that you don't pronounce it as binging. It's not bing, it's bin, 你就是在 bin 后面分开来 binging. Usually when you see ng, it's going to be but not in this case. It's binging. With the emergence of online streaming sites, people are now free to watch TV shows and movies for hours on end.
好 ，with the emergence of 就是随着什么的出现哈 ，emergence 是出现啊，当然在某些 context 上你可以把它翻成兴起哈，随着什么的兴起哈，那随着 online 这个 streaming sites 就是网络上的这种串流网站啊 ，streaming 就串流，那 sites 就是网站，所以这种 streaming sites 就是这个串流网站。
Keep in mind that in some contexts, streaming is translated as 直播。
streaming 有的时候可以指直播哈，在某些情况之下，在这里指的是串流哈。那在这些地方呢，人们可以怎么样 ？are now free to 就他们可以自由的to be free to do something 就是他们可以很自由的做什么事情。
Right, but what it really means here is 毫无限制。 就是说你是可以毫无限制的看，你爱看多少就看多少。
好，但这个地方呢，它真正这个所谓的自由，它指的是毫无限制的意思哈。所以这个其实很重要，就是什么叫做阅读英文啊？你要真的要读懂啊！你光读到自由，其实这个意思还没有真的完全读出来。它这里真正的意思是你可以毫无限制的看。
That's right. So you are free to do this. 我没有给你设任何限制。You are free to do it. It's 不是自由。
就是没有给它限制的意思所以呢，这个地方你可以无限制的，你爱看多少看多少，看电视节目，还有看电影。那 for hours on end 就是 without stopping 但是这个我记得以前好几年以前但是我记得很清楚 Karen 老师曾经提到过说，通常 for hours on end 没有问题，但是你如果说 for 16 hours on end
No
就很奇怪了。
No
那我还记得有一个机会呢 Karen 老师在当场就问 Bruce 老师说，你是不是也觉得这样子？ Bruce 老师觉得对真的耶
是有这回事我没有乱讲
没有乱讲
You know, that's a good point because sometimes I will tell my students something like this and they'll just look at me 斜眼看我You can tell they don't believe me I said, listen, I'm a native speaker I got a PhD in linguistics. I've been teaching for 30 years, and you still don't believe me, and they laugh. I say, why don't you believe me? And then they'll hear it in a movie. They go, 老师真的耶 I said, well, didn't I tell you?
Yeah.
And the reason that they have that reaction is because nobody ever told them before, or a previous teacher or somebody told them just the opposite or something different.
Yeah.
And so when you're not expecting it or you've heard something different, you may not believe a native speaker. And the feeling is always very funny for me. I'm not threatened because I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, you're not going to believe a native speaker?
Yeah. 不过在 Bruce 这个情况，我觉得更有趣的是，他是个 native speaker， 而且他知道这样用语言，可是他从来没有注意到有这么一条规则在那边。原来的前面如果是你用确实的数字在那边的话，你通常后面就不会加 on end， 所以这个是很 subtle 的一个东西大部分 native speakers 大概也不会注意到有这回事。
Yeah. It's not that subtle if you translate it into the equivalent Chinese translation because on end means 没完没了。我看了5个小时没完没了，不通。
Yeah.
中文不通，英文也不通，因为它是逻辑上不通。So the problem is， 你如果没有就是把它直接联想到那个相等的中文的话，你就会觉得很奇怪。一变成中文，你说当然不行。
没错所以呢，这个其实是我也是教英文这么多年了，慢慢发现。很多人讲说这个学英文的时候不要让被中文干扰，但事实上我觉得看你怎么教，看从哪个点进去。很多时候中文其实在学英文的时候，中文不是干扰，它是个很大的注意。
Because your language of logic is Chinese. So whenever you speak Chinese, you've got a very, very 很灵敏的 checker. 它会检查你所讲的对不对。And your checker is very, very accurate for Chinese, but it's not so accurate for English. So if you want to check your English, put it in Chinese because your logic checker will tell you if it's good or not.
Yeah, 好，所以这个中文对于学英文其实是很有帮助的只是you have to know how to use it and use it in the right way.
而且那个对照关系要建立对。
Yeah. 好，那所以各位注意到这个 for hours on end， 你就把它背起来 for hours on end.
Okay, as thrilling as it may seem at first, binge watching can leave you feeling less than great afterwards. Now that's an understatement.
Yeah.
It's just like in Chinese 欠佳 when something's really awful.
Yeah. 其实这个 less than great 这个 less than 这个片语它的意思是 far from 的意思是 certainly not 的意思所以各位不要想说 less than great 就是比 great 差一点点而已没有这个完全是这个反话 less than great 是很差一点也不棒一点也不好的意思
Just like when you say 欠佳 it doesn't mean 差一点点就很棒了不是欠佳就是相当差
Yeah 说这某人的英文欠佳那其实意思就是他的英文不好的意思 Yeah 好所以我们再回来看这个句他说 as thrilling as it may seem at first. Thrilling 就是感觉很刺激 causing excitement.
令人兴奋
让你很兴奋这 thrill 这个字呢碰到这种字你要这个对它尊敬一点因为它是纯种的英文它是 Old English 来的所以那但这里这指很刺激所以 it may seem at first 一开始 at first虽然感觉起来好像很刺激但是呢你这样追剧这个 binge watching can leave you feeling leave someone 后面加个 VING 就表示使某人处于某一个状态那个 VING 呢其实是修饰那个受词的像这里这个 leave you 是受词 feeling 是指那个 you 在 feeling 所以 让你处于什么状态呢？让你处于 less than great， 就让你觉得一点也不舒服，一点也不好受啊。那 afterwards 就是后来，稍后的意思。
追剧 is a beautiful expression. 它真的很精炼。It tells you the whole story.
而且有 image 在那边追着那个剧跑哈，就不能跑，我一定要把你看完。Yeah.
Exactly. Watching a couple of hours of your favorite TV show isn't necessarily bad.
好，这个主词是看几个小时的电视哈 ，watching a couple of hours of your favorite TV show。那这样的一件事情呢 ，isn't necessarily bad， 就是不见得是件坏事的啊。
It can be a great way to unwind after a stressful day.
那可以是一个很棒的方式哈 ，a great way 去干嘛呢 ？unwind 就是放松身心哈 ，wind 就把它卷起来，那 unwind 就把它放松掉哈。所以那是一个放松身心很棒的一个方式。After a stressful day 哈，在你充满压力的一天之后，看看电视可以放松你的身心。
Some people think that people are drawn to binge watching because it allows them to escape into another world more than if they just watched a single episode.
某些人啊，有一些人呢哈，认为说 people are drawn to 就是被什么什么吸引，就是他们发现什么很有吸引力的意思。很多人会觉得这个一直追剧哈很有趣，他们会被追剧所吸引。为什么呢？因为 it 就是指 binge watching 啊，因为这件事情 allows them 追剧让他们得以 to escape 可以逃脱，可以脱逃 into 进入 another world 进入另外一个世界。好 more 就是让他们更能够逃脱入另外一个世界。跟什么比起来更能逃入另外一个世界呢？ Then if they just watched a single episode， 如果他们只看单单一集的话啊，那是不过瘾。所以追剧不
过瘾 ，That's exactly the word.
Yeah， 这不过瘾啊，所以他们要这个多看，要看很多，他们才更能够进入或者是逃入另外一个世界。
Unfortunately, it can be hard to keep this from becoming a bad habit.
但是很不幸的 ，it can be hard， 就是这有可能是很难的，因为有的人可能觉得很容易哈，像我这个我就不太会追剧哈，这个有人讲这个很好看，你看的就会一直想看，那我有时候
那就麻烦。
对，但是我看就觉得我不会一直想看的，好，所以看有人，但有的人会觉得啊，真的很难，好，所以呢，这个很难怎么样 ？Keep this 就是 binge watching 啊，让这个追剧 keep it from 就让它不至于变成一个坏习惯哈，所以这个追剧很多人都爱追，而且有的时候追到不能自拔。Yeah.
Exactly. That's the problem. I want to mention something quickly. It's a piece of advice for you for the sake of your health. Now, I don't have TV or movies. I don't watch TV. I don't watch movies. Now, that sounds very, very virtuous, but I spend too much time online. So I don't know if it's much better, but I just don't watch TV or movies. But one thing that I've learned from the Pomodoro method. Whatever you do, don't do it more than 25 minutes. Take a break after 25 minutes. I am telling you this is important. So set a timer. When it's 25 minutes, just pause whatever you're doing. Get up. Get your butt out of the chair. You have to get your butt out of the chair. Otherwise, you are going to get tired really fast. You maybe would have had more energy to do more in that day if you got up and took a break. But without breaks, you're going to get tired before you need to, and you're going to end up just really exhausted, 然后迷迷糊糊的, and you're going to have to go sleep because there's nothing you can do when you're so tired. But if you take regular breaks, 25 minutes, pause, get up, get a drink, stretch, whatever it is. This is not just 老生常谈 is what you say. It really is important. Otherwise, you're going to crash and burn really early.
So take a break for how long?
5 minutes is fine. 5 minutes is enough, but you have to stop after 25 minutes. As long as your butt is in the chair and your eyes are on the screen, you are just really going to drain fast. Your energy is going to drain fast.
Yeah, 所以这个是很重要的 advice 哈。像这个 Karen 老师他其实晚上睡眠时间不多啊，他这个一天大概睡5个小时左右 ，right?
I can't help it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 但因为他一方面他很忙，但是事实上各位看到 Karen 老师他总是精力很充沛，那这可能是一个秘诀，就是你工作的时候不要一直做。有的人觉得说，哎呀，我一直做，我很专心，我都忘了时间，那其实你会累得很快，而且你效率会降低。你还是在做，可是其实效率变差了。所以呢，25分钟就起来休息一个5分钟啊，3到5分钟，每25分钟就起来休息到3到5分钟，这样子的话，你的能量可以维持得更久。
Right, and that applies to watching TV and movies as well.
看电视也是一样哈。
We're going to continue. Binge watching releases dopamine into our brains, which gives us a sense of pleasure.
好，所以追剧呢 ，releases 就是释放 ，dopamine 就是多巴胺哈， 放到我们的 brains 大脑里面，那 which 就是指这个多巴胺呢，它会给我们 a sense of pleasure， 会给我们一个愉悦的感觉。
Addictive drugs work the same way.
那这个会 addictive 就会让人上瘾的这些药呢，其实是以同样的方式工作，也就是说他们是以同样的方式产生效果，也就是说他们也是一样的道理。
Once we get that rush of dopamine, we naturally want to keep doing whatever activates that part of our brain.
好，我们一旦得到那 rush 可以说是一阵，但或者是一种很刺激的感觉，通常是由药物所引起的。好，所以这个多巴胺，你一旦感觉到那个一阵多巴胺给你带来那种兴奋感的话呢，我们很自然的就会想要 keep doing， 一直做 whatever activates that part of our brain. Whatever 就 no matter what， 不管是什么，它活化了 activates 或者是启动了我们大脑那一部分，我们就会一直想去做，因为你知道做那件事情，你觉得会有兴奋感，你就一直想去做那件事情。
Suddenly it's the middle of the night and you've watched an entire season of a show over the past 8 hours.
突然之间你一直看，突然之间哇，已经半夜了 It's the middle of the night， 而且你已经看了一整季的那个节目了，然后在过去的8个小时你已经连看8个小时，一整季都看完了。
You might not be feeling weary yet, but you certainly will be the next day.
你也许还没有觉得累，疲惫 weary 就是疲惫，但是呢，你第二天一定会觉得累。You certainly will be， 就是 will be weary 的意思。
If you keep doing this day after day, it will start negatively affecting your mood and health.
如果你 day after day 日复一日，如果你日复一日的一直这样做的话，它会 negatively affect， 就会带来负面的影响，因为 affect 只是这个影响，那 negatively 就是告诉你这是负面的影响，所以 it will start negatively affecting your mood and health， 它会对你的 mood 心情还有你的 health 健康带来负面的影响。
So how do you avoid this bad habit?
所以你要怎么样避免这个坏习惯呢？ Avoid this bad habit， 避免这个坏习惯。
On many streaming sites, you can adjust the settings so that episodes don't automatically play one after another. And this is important. Never activate that function. Don't allow it to keep playing because you will probably never sleep.
Yeah， 所以这很重要哈。他说，在很多的 streaming sites， 在很多的这个串流网站上面呢 ，you can adjust 就是调整的意思。你可以调整怎么样 ？The settings 调整那个设定 ，settings 就是设定，你可以调整那个设定 ，so that 结果就是调整成为 episode， 就一集一集的节目呢 ，don't automatically play 不会自动的播放 one after another， 一个接着一个。所以你要把它设定好，不要让它一个接着，因为有的时候你如果不设定的话。它就会一直跑。那这一集播完，它就自动播下一集，那就不好。
Never use that function. Or if you find that you have trouble turning off the TV at night, a bedtime alarm may help.
You have trouble doing something， 就是你觉得很难怎样。所以如果你发觉说你很难把电视在晚上把电视关掉的话，那么 a bedtime alarm 就是上床睡觉的一个闹钟该到时间该睡觉了，这样的一个 bedtime alarm may help， 也许会有用的。
And pay attention to it. Don't just shut it off and keep watching.
Yeah.
If you find you really struggle, try taking a break from TV to do something that keeps you active instead. And that is the best advice. Get up and move around or go take a walk.
Yeah, 如果你发现你真的 struggle 在这里，其实就是 to have difficulty doing something， 但它程度比那个 have trouble 还要更强。挣扎了你很难真的很难做到。那么怎么办？ Try 试试看这个办法。那这样的情况之下，后面是要加 ing 的，所以试试看这个办法，就是 taking a break from TV， 你就休息，不要看电视，然后去做一些事情，这些事情是可以让你 keeps you active， 会让你活动那去做一些让你活动的事情，那这样子会更好。Instead 就是不要做 A 而去做 B， 做 B 就是 do something that keeps you active.
And you can ask Wesley all about the benefits of walking. We'll come back to that another day.
Yeah.
Okay, our questions. Number 1, what does the author suggest as the cause of the rise in binge watching?
作者表示追剧线上会上升的因素是什么呢？
The answer is D, new platforms for watching TV shows.
答案是 D， 观看电视节目的新平台。
Number 2, which of the speakers is probably going to spend their evening binge watching?
以下哪一位说话的人有可能会在晚上追剧呢？
The answer is C. Season 4 of the series is finally available. Let's see how far we get through it.
这系列的第4季终于都出来了，瞧瞧我们能够看完多少。
Number 3, what is binge watching compared to in the passage?
本文将追剧跟什么比较呢？
The answer is B. Watch out. using illegal substances.
答案是 B 使用非法药物。
And number 4, what is not mentioned as a way to cut back on binge watching?
底下哪一个没有被提到说是减少追剧的一种方式呢？
The answer is A, watching different kinds of TV shows.
答案是 A 观看不同类型的电视节目，这一点没有提到。
That's like pouring oil on the fire.
Yeah.
And that's it for today. Turn off the TV and get out and walk. That's it for today. Bye-bye.